team.
And Rich will be joining us a little bit later. He's on the meeting already, the webinar already, but he'll be sharing his experiences with you in a little bit. But we'll get right into it. So we're going to go ahead and share. Hopefully, Lee, can you see that okay?
Yes, yeah, it looks good.
Great. So welcome, everyone. Excuse me. We're here to tell you about the 2026 Startup Analyst Associate opportunity with NC IDEA. So we're going to briefly go over NC IDEA. You probably know a little bit about us since you found us, but we're going to give you some background. And then we'll talk specifically about the opportunity for this year. And then we will save, ideally, by like 10 minutes for Rich to share his experience. He's currently one of our Startup Analyst Associates. And then please do feel free to put questions in the Q&A, and we'll try to answer them along the way. And Lee, feel free to jump in at any point if it makes more sense for us to talk through, or if you want to share something with the whole group. So a little bit of background about NC IDEA, or kind of why we exist. We are an independent private foundation in the economic development space, and our vision is to empower North Carolinians to achieve their entrepreneurial potential. We've been around since 2006. This year is our 20th anniversary. And our mission is we hope to strengthen the economy of North Carolina through a strategic combination of grants and programs deployed directly and in partnership with a number of partners across the state who have similar missions and visions and are in the same work that we are. We are based in Durham, so that's one of the reasons why we have statewide partners, so that we can reach entrepreneurs across the state. The Startup Analyst Associates help us with the seed program, but we just wanted to give you an overview of all the work that NC IDEA does, because you'll be exposed to the NC IDEA community through the work as a Startup Analyst Associate, and there just may be other opportunities or other programs that you want to get more involved with. But the two that you will hear most about, obviously, it's the seed grant. You'll also learn a little bit more about our micro grant, as some of our seed applicants and seed grantees may have applied or received the micro grant. All this information, or if you want more information about any of these programs, visit ncidea.org. Our marketing team does a great job of putting relevant news articles about our grantees or partners, updating our impact numbers, just putting really recent relevant information, as well as we have podcasts. So a lot of great information online. So please check out our website if you want to learn more about any of these programs. Why we do the work that we do is, again, to have an impact on the state of North Carolina. So since 2006, we have served more than 630 companies. They have gone on to raise $1.2 billion in funding. That's dilutive and non-dilutive. 42 of those, excuse me, have been acquired. 60% of those are underserved. We don't award grants on that basis, but we do track that information. 41 have raised more than 5 million, and 70% of our grantees are still in business, and they've created over 5,000 jobs. And we always say that's a conservative kind of underestimate, since we don't know about all the great work that our companies are doing, especially after we stopped working with them during their grant period. But so we think our impact is even greater than that. So I'll tell you just a little bit about micro and seed. And again, the reason that we're sharing about micro is so you get a little bit better sense of where the seed competitive and seed applicants, what stage of company they're at. So again, our Startup Analyst Associates help us specifically with 2 cycles of our seed grant. But both micro and seed support North Carolina startups that are leading early stage but growth-oriented companies and on a path to either be multi-million-dollar or receive equity investment and go that really equity path, so have very large growth potential. So obviously they're addressing very large growing market opportunities. They have some sort of sustainable competitive advantage or some type of unique value proposition. We are industry agnostic, so our companies look very different. So you'll definitely get exposed to quite a number of different types of companies and innovative technologies. A little bit more about seed, since those are the types of applicants that you'll be spending time with as a Startup Analyst Associate. So We give funding in the amount of $50,000 to support North Carolina startups. And we've again awarded over 225 companies, $10.3 million in grants. We do have 2 grant cycles a year. So as I'll share in a little bit, you'll also hear from Rich. You get to go through 2 cycles of our seed grants and get to know quite a number of companies through the process. And again, these are innovative startups. It says with a proven concept, but I always say it's kind of initial traction proven concept. They still have a number of things to figure out, but they do have some indications of market traction. And we're really looking that this funding can be impactful to the companies. It helps founders either gain more customers or attract future investment. I mentioned that both for micro and seed, we're industry agnostic, but the majority of our grantees end up being in software. And so it's close to, and then followed behind that by consumer products, some biotech, medical devices, clean tech, green tech, maybe some other materials and digital hardware. So those are the general buckets, but we've had everything from fintech companies to new ways to deal with hog waste to artisanal dog biscuit companies. So really quite a wide gamut that reflects the diversity of startups in the state. So again, that was just a little bit about NC Idea and just a quick snapshot overview of what our seed grant, what types of companies our seed grant supports and kind of where those companies are in their development. I'd say a number of years ago when I started, I guess 7 years ago, it just was not common for seed applicants to have raised prior funding. We're seeing some of those applicants now having raised some angel funding or maybe accelerator funding. So they're a little bit further along than they were, I'd say, about 7 years ago. So you're here to learn a little bit more about the opportunity. So we call it the 2026 Startup Analyst Opportunity because you're working with us for 2 grant cycles over the calendar year of 2026. So we're looking for individuals that have demonstrated interest in startups and entrepreneurship. It could be that it's just something you've been passionate about, you've been following, you want to get some experience. It could be that you've worked on the financial side of this. You may have had your own startup. You may be interested in startup law. It can really vary. We say it's targeted at first-year MBA candidates, but it's open to students in other graduate programs as well. However, since it is a 2 cycle commitment, a spring and a fall, all applicants must be in school at least through November 2026. So the timetable for application interviews, the application deadline for, we say, full consideration is November 14th. But starting in October, starting in a day, we will be reaching out to early applicants that are competitive, and we'll start to meet with them in October, November for initial interviews. Finalist interviews typically start at the end of November and go through early December. And then by mid-December, that's our goal timeline for having 6 associates selected. The Startup Analyst Associates, how they help us is they're really critical to evaluate and select the grant recipients for the seed grant program, which we just talked about. And they do this through a variety of roles. So I always think of this in stages, but for 2 cycles, the associates will review a lot of business plans, our applications. I think typically now it's between 20 and 25 per cycle. And there's, we give onboarding, but there's ratings feedback, but as well as written feedback. So associates will get experience actually giving written feedback to companies at a variety of different stages, some very competitive, some not so competitive. And this feedback is really critical to our process. Every reviewer provides feedback with your staff, you're one of our external reviewers, or you're an associate. We have so many reapplicants for a seed grant. It's like 45% each cycle. Companies have applied either to micro or seed in the past. So the fact that past applicants have gotten some feedback, have some indication of why they didn't progress, but maybe something they could focus on. Maybe it's a suggestion of something they could look into, maybe an accelerator, another supporting community. We hear repeatedly how important that feedback is, and you'll get really good experience pulling out different parts of the business plan, the application that resonated with you, and give that feedback to the applicant. You also will conduct due diligence for a subset of our seed semifinalists. These are companies that make it to the middle stage. You speak with the semifinalists, and you also have conversations with their references. And then finally, you attend in-person meetings where we have discussions about the applicants and as they move through the different stages. And that culminates in really fun day-long in-person finalist presentations where companies present, and associates, staff, and some of our key reviewers are in person hearing from about 12 companies, asking questions, and then making recommendations for which companies will receive $50,000. There's a bit of training and learning that goes into becoming a seed startup analyst associate. It's one of the reasons why we have a 2-cycle commitment. Is the first cycle, even though we have onboarding, everything is new. You're learning about how you quickly review a number of business plans. You're figuring out how to give feedback, and just we say that seed is a well-oiled machine. There's no surprises. Like you will have the calendar. We have the entire calendar for 2026 already, right, Lee? Yes. So there's no surprises about when these meetings are. You can plan in advance, but still actually going through it. It's a learning curve. We're there for you. We support you in it. But you go through it once, it's all new. And then you really, I feel like you even get more out of it almost the second time you do it because there's no surprises. You know maybe what you're really strong in, what area you need to improve in, and just how to allocate your time. We say it's about 10 hours per week, but it really varies depending on kind of how you work. If you review a lot of applications all at once, if you'd like to do a little at a time, and as well as how you allocate your time during the due diligence process. We support you in whatever works best for you as long as you're able to meet the deadlines for each cycle. There is a stipend of $1,000 per semester. However, if your college or university will give you class credit, typically then you can't get the stipend. So we will fill out any paperwork or updates that if it requirement for class credit. We don't initiate that. The associate will talk to their school and figure out if that's available. But if NCADA needs to fill out a form or kind of an update through a cycle to give feedback that yes, the associate performed the work they said they were going to do, we're absolutely fine doing that. And one thing I'd say is if the class credit is available, and I know like Fuqua has mentored study, sometimes it can be, if it fits with your schedule, it can be a really nice way just to have a little bit more time for the work of the Startup Analyst Associate. Maybe it's even the first cycle. So you have just a little bit more bandwidth to, figure out how to allocate your time and really get the most out of this whole process. We will also have this deck available on our website as well. This is definitely a reference slide. I won't go through every bullet point, but just going back to the fact that we say that seed is a well-oiled machine. You'll know that you have like 2.5 weeks in September and March and September to review applications. And there's going to be in-person review meeting. And then you have 3.5 weeks to review your semifinals applications and conduct the due diligence with the company founders and the references. And then we offer pitch support for the finalists. So you're invited to all of those pitch prep webinars. I hope you can attend as many as possible, where you just get to see how different coaches prepare the finalists to present in person. So again, there's no surprises. For those who progress through the interview process, we'll share the calendar for next year so you can check it against your schedule. But as we say, it's a well-oiled machine, but the dates are pretty much set. So hopefully, you have a sense of what your schedule looks like and can figure out if you are excited about this opportunity, how it could work into your schedule. So what you'll learn, the goal is that you'll learn how young ventures are evaluated by investors, and also just the different characteristics of growth-oriented companies that are ready to scale at an early stage. We're industry agnostic. No reviewer, no matter how experienced they are, has deep knowledge of of the industry of every type of applicant, but there are certain things that stand out about a strong application, a company that's really at the right point to leverage the $50,000. So we'll also share that with you. So you'll be able to start recognizing those traits as characteristics. Hopefully you'll leave maybe some skills to prepare you for working at an angel or venture capital firm, or maybe at a law firm that's focuses in startup or some other industry, and definitely the knowledge of the startup landscape in North Carolina. We say that there's so many opportunities to get involved and things to leverage through NC IDEA. So we really hope that applicants will really spend a little bit of time on our website, really learn about the work that we're doing and see how beyond even the roles and responsibilities for the Startup Analyst Associate, there might be other opportunities that NC IDEA can add to your knowledge about your future career options. So one of the things that we're really looking for that you'll also in our seed applicants to see who's competitive, you'll really get a sense if a startup is really ready to move to the next stage. That's really key. There's some real, specific things that we look at in terms of revenue. There's a lot of intangible or subjective, honestly, aspects to the process. You'll get exposed to that as well. But you'll have a sense of, what does a capable team look like for an early stage company? And really helping us understand, especially for the semifinalists and finalists, are these founders really committed to building a scalable company and assessing their recent momentum and traction? And then you will definitely, we'll talk a lot about the impact of the grant. It's a little bit different, maybe than some other, if you've been part of other investment companies or other programs. So we have so many reapplicants, and we know that we'll have many cycles seed in the future, and we're going to have 2 a year. So we're really looking at what companies are ready and clear on how they would leverage $50,000 to move the business goals for their startup forward. NCIDA seed is not a research grant, so this is definitely a business competition. And then you'll get to know their members of the review team, so staff, the other graduate associates, and then volunteer reviewers from across North Carolina. We have some past grantees who are part of our review committee, investors, ecosystem partners. So there really is a whole network of individuals that we are happy to introduce you to and that you actually get in front of. So it's a really great opportunity to build your connections as well. And then you really are considered a valuable member of our team. We'll invite you to other gatherings. We will invite you to other meetings and other check-ins with our seed grantees. And we really kind of leave it up to the associate as well to let us know how our network can really benefit them during the rest of their time in school. So if this has interested you, what we want to just make sure is clear is that the deadline to apply is November 14th. And go to our website because under the news and updates page, there are so many stories about NCIDEA grantees. We've also launched a podcast in the last year. It's more focused on ecosystem than on startups, but it's all tied together because all of our work is an entrepreneurial ecosystem. So there's a lot of materials to spend time on to get just a better feel for NCIDEA. And then learn about the seed program details and eligibility. We still have information up about our fall grant cycle, so a lot of great resources for seed. All right, now the fun part. I was all like nuts and bolts, and hopefully you have a sense of a little bit about the program. But Rich is here to tell you about what it's really like to be a Startup Analyst Associate. So Rich, I will turn it over to you at this point.
Cool. Yeah, thanks for the introduction, Amy. Um, you know, I guess just starting off with different points of,
Oh,
what it's like being,
I was going to say, Rich, I didn't even really introduce you or your background.
yeah,
I'm
no,
like,
it's
it's
fine.
Rich.
Yeah,
But I like that you're sporting your jacket too. And you do get one of these too, the NCIDEA jackets when you become a Startup Analyst Associate. But yeah, maybe Rich, talk a little bit about, sorry, the program that you're in. Sorry, I should have kicked off with that.
no, it's all good. So yeah, it's nice to meet everyone. My name is Rich Gilliam. I am a second year student at UNC Chapel Hill. I'm in the Mighty program, they call it. It's a long acronym, but my specific track that I'm in is educational technology entrepreneurship. I have a startup myself that I'm building, and I'm really deeply interested in just like the entrepreneurship ecosystem as a whole. So the startup associate position for me, just to start off with my experience, it's been an unbelievable experience. This is my second term being associate, and really just having the opportunity to gain expertise in, as Amy said, there's so many different companies as an associate that you will be able to work with different industries, different sectors. So being able to really get that understanding and just learn from those different founders, first of all, has been an amazing experience for me. Sorry about that. As a whole, also, I would say a big nugget for me has been really the opportunity to connect with other graduate associates at other universities as well. That's been a great experience. Me being here at UNC Chapel Hill, being able to also connect with graduate associates at Duke, and be able to learn from each other and be able to go through just the process together has been a great help for me as well. And are there like any particular questions, or am I just simply just sharing my experience, Amy? I just want to make sure I'm
Yes.
going through stuff right.
No questions, right? Oh, yeah. So, let's see. Oh, so someone asked about if there's a business plan that really resonated with you, and we're always big in confidentiality. So maybe just maybe not sharing a company name, but maybe just, there's something, a type of company that really resonated with you.
Yeah, for sure. I would say for me, that I would just give a type of company. So companies that are really interesting to me, I would say, are companies that are uh, particularly maybe in the education space. That is my interest. So being able to go through, I would say, learning from founders that may have like an educational technology company, where now I'm able to get to know the founder, and not just necessarily get to know the founder, but also going through the process of due diligence, right? Where now I'm able to understand uh, maybe who this founder is connected to, maybe understanding who is this founder supporting communities, right? So now this is being able to help me as a student, where I'm a founder as well, and now I'm able to learn and be able to cater and build myself up as well. So yeah, definitely I would say the few educational technology companies that I've been able to really get to know the founders and also do the due diligence was really a big help for me, and I really enjoyed that.
Great. Um, yeah, so Rich, I think one of the things that we often get asked about is just, managing the work, with school. And then I know also you've like a young growing family. Just how you're able to manage the work.
Yeah, no, I think that's a great question. I really appreciate that. Definitely, as a startup associate, time management is definitely important. I would definitely share that, I feel like Amy and Lee did a very great job of just kind of sharing, what needs to be done, and also the deadlines. So that was really important for me. I would say something that has really helped me is just really setting up systems, right? So anything from like now setting up my calendar, where these are specific times that I'm going to maybe go through applications, to, well, these are the specific times where I'm going to do due diligence, and being able to communicate that, right? So for example, I'm going through the process now of talking to founders and then setting up due diligence calls. So being able to set up my calendar where I have that specific availability, and also being able to be firm with the time that you are actually being able to provide, right? So, for example, I'm doing due diligence calls. I'm making sure that I'm setting these calls for 15 minutes, where now I can make sure that I'm able to get through multiple calls and being able to fit it throughout my day. So, the biggest thing I will say um, with being a startup associate and being efficient is just making sure that you have systems for yourself. If you try to just go through everything without systems, you're going to cause, I would say, more stress on yourself. You're going to feel like it's a lot. Everything is kind of coming from every end. But when you have those proper systems, for me at least, I feel like it's definitely made things more smooth.
Yeah. And there's a question that I'll answer part of it and then I'll turn over to you, Rich. So someone asked how the companies for review are assigned and what's taken into consideration. So the initial round of application reviews were, Rich, you had like 20 to 25. We really do try to give each associate a variety of applications. If they're knowing that Rich has education background, and we actually have two MDs in our current associate group. So some of the medical ones skewed a little bit more towards them, but we really want you to get a wide variety. So you'll see a lot of different types of business plans. And again, some competitive, some not. But when we get to the semi-finalist stage, we each associate works with about 4 companies. Associates rank their preference, and then we try to give as many of the higher preference companies as possible. So Rich, you've probably seen quite a variety of companies, especially in that initial application process.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, as I said, this is kind of my second application stage. So, going through the phase of, once we get down to the semifinalists, it's definitely an opportunity to work with a lot of, different companies. Like currently I'm working with companies that are, with whether it's like in the AI space or whether it's in emerging technology. It's really, you really get that opportunity to learn about some emerging companies that are really leading to positive good here in North Carolina. And just to kind of like, one of the things that I really just love about entrepreneurship, like for me, I was engineering corporate for 10 years and then really started to dive into entrepreneurship over the past few years. But I feel like entrepreneurship creates opportunities. So being able to talk to individuals that are really making a positive good and really seeing how they're not only building a business, but also creating opportunities for others has been a great experience.
And there was a question about recruiting international students. We've definitely had international students be part of the program. One of the benefits of being part of this is building your network in North Carolina. And we've had international students where that really did benefit them. So again, that's one of the things that we really look at is like the impact of this opportunity on people. Are they clear why they want to do it? Because it's a manageable amount of work, but there's a lot of work and there's really big impact. I mean, like Rich, you've helped some companies get $50,000 and they're using the funding right now and the idea network. So we really are looking for people who really want this opportunity. We know that there's so many opportunities, right? Rich, you're in grad school. You probably have a lot of different outside of class activities you could do. So we really want individuals to be clear of why they want to be part of this opportunity because they are a really major part of the process.
Yeah, and I'll just add to that, Amy. I think you might have talked about this earlier, but like as a startup associate, you really play a big part of like who actually gets selected because that due diligence period actually is like kind of like make or break for some people, right? So you being able to actually speak to their core people that they're actually listing with their references, and then being able to really communicate that in the review meeting can really make a difference on who is actually selected and being able to now get that funding to be able to open up more doors for their company. So
yeah, and we have one more question. And then, so questions around balancing qualitative founder traits with quantitative business performance when assessing startups. So I'll say, and I'll turn over to you, Rich, your thoughts on this. So we do have some criteria, like very specific, but we're comparing very different types of companies and there's some subjectiveness to it. So it's why we get input from various reviewers, and we have multiple rounds, is we need different input, we need different perspectives. And it's not an exact science. So it's one of the things that we hope, and Rich, if you can speak to this, you'll learn is just a little bit of how to kind of talk through the kind of aspects of a business that would indicate that they're really ready for that 50K. Even there's some subjectivity around it, but of kind of teasing out kind of some of the intangibles that can also factor into, as well as revenue, funds raised, founder commitment and things like that.
Yeah, yeah, definitely. I will speak upon like, from my experience of, reviewing seed and just even kind of being in review meetings. I think some of the biggest things is seeing that a founder has a company that is, actually scalable, right? And then, also it comes down to, I know a lot of times it's come down to with certain applicants of that the founder is like actually coachable as well, right? Even though they're at a seed where they're about to get a $50,000 grant, can they be in, as a seed, are they willing to be in a community where now they're receiving coaching to help them even cater their startup even more? Because, I definitely can say there was times where you may see a particular founder where they may have a particular company that has everything on the table, but are they kind of the right fit for the community? So all of those, it's kind of like both sides, right? You have to have that area where you're building your business to a certain part, but also there's just the founder as a founder as well. If that makes sense.
Yeah, and seed grantees, even though they receive the grant, they're early stage, and they're different types of companies and different, they're selling into different markets. So it's a little bit of how do we compare, again, an artisanal dog biscuit company with a fintech company. We have a process where we're able to, but it really comes down to the founders, one, as Rich said, being on that path to being a very large company, but also having a really clear business case of how 50K can really move their company forward to that next stage. If the impact really isn't there, it's a nice to have. The companies are really less competitive, but it takes us a couple cycles to go, a couple stages to get through that process. So I know we're over by a few minutes, and Rich, I want to be cognizant of your time as well. Thank you again for joining us. For those who are on the call, if you are interested, please go ahead and apply. You can also reach out to programs@ncidea.org if you have any questions before applying. And thank you for joining us today. Thanks, Rich.
Thanks, Amy. Thanks, Lee.